Hello viewers, and welcome to episode 27 of F1 Talk, and in this edition I will be going over the British Grand Prix which took place yesterday. So I'll go through my reviews, race results, and then obviously championship standings. So the first talking point I'd like to obviously talk about is the start. As soon as the lights went out, Alonso performed what I like to call a Schumacher Cut. Now, this was when Michael Schumacher was at Ferrari and his biggest rivals were right next to him on the grid. He would cut across them right at the start in a dangerous but effective manoeuvre that stopped them from overtaking them on the first corner. And it worked to perfection for Alonso. Other people watching it may think that it's a bit underhanded. It's bad to see such a manoeuvre in practice, but it's all fair. The rules quite clearly state that you can make one move to defend your position, and then obviously it did look like Alonso made another move to go around the first corner, but you have to make your braking, and you won't make the apex otherwise. On the same laps, Romain Grosjean caused chaos. Paul di Resta's race lasted about 3 corners, if that, before he came into the pits. He certainly was sent back out again to try and salvage something from the weekend, because they would have made changes to the strategy had he had started on not too sure what tyres he started on, but they would have changed his tyres to make sure that he wouldn't have had to run another set. If he was on hards, he would have changed to softs. If he was on soft, he would have been changed, because we had a wet qualifying, which meant there were plenty of dry weather tyres, both the hard and the soft compound, available for all of the drivers, because they weren't used in practice and or qualifying. Good battles in the first couple of laps between Kimi Räikkönen and Pastor Maldonado. Good back and forth action. And Pastor Maldonado, again, seeing that red mist, that he booted out Lewis Hamilton from Valencia. He crashed into someone at Monaco during the qualifying session, and this time he hit Sergio Perez of Sauber, and Sauber had to retire. Perez, when interviewed by Lee McKenzie, was very angry. He kept on repeating this statement. He kept on saying that Maldonado had no respect for the other drivers, and quite frankly, it's something that needs to be looked at. He kept on saying that as well. The stewards have to penalise him to a worse degree. Maldonado finished 16th yesterday, and that was his own fault. It wasn't the fact that the Williams wasn't competitive. Bruno Senna finished 9th, and I'll go over, as I say, race results at the twilight of the video, so to speak. But Maldonado tends not to care, or it's certainly seeming that way, not to care who he's up against. If he thinks a piece of tarmac is his, he will use it. And that's not the way to go. There are safety regulations in Formula 1, and this guy is sort of Eddie Irvine and Ralf Schumacher combined. He doesn't seem to care. Yes, he won a race in Spain. It was a great victory, but that was a sort of freakish victory, in my opinion. It was an event that happened, and he thinks he's the bee's knees, and he's quite clearly not. The car isn't as competitive as it was in Spain, and he's believing that he's better than he actually is. The real Pastor Maldonado has returned. He returned at Monaco in qualifying. shunting somebody off. He did it again with Hamilton in Valencia, and now he's hit Perez, taking him out. So 2 drivers in 2 consecutive Grand Prix he's made retire, and as Perez said, quite frankly, something's got to be done about it, because you've got 23 other drivers of varying ability, and not one of them can trust Maldonado with his current thoughts about overtaking and, people trying to overtake him. So that was that. I had to make a note of this bit. Alonso and Hamilton on lap 19, just going around, Cops Corner, Brooklands and all of those. A fantastic sequence of action, about 3 passes and about 4 corners. Magnificent action on lap 19, just brilliant. And quite frankly, the McLarens now, it wasn't just the mere fact that Hamilton had just come out of the pits or Alonso had just come out of the pits. It's the fact that the McLarens can't seem to make these 2012 spec Pirelli tyres work. They've clearly got one of the better cars. It's just not working with these tyres. And McLaren need to do something. Jenson Button cannot win the championship. I will say that now. Button cannot win the championship. Lewis Hamilton, on the other hand, can win the championship, but not with results like yesterday. McLaren are just falling back. They need to do something, and they need to do it quickly. Red Bull seem to have found their consistency of the last couple of years. Webber especially. Vettel seems to be getting back, although his confidence, I think, has wavered slightly. Alonso is just Alonso. Murray Walker was in the commentary box during qualifying, which was delayed, and he said that a lot of people believe that Sebastian Vettel is the best driver in Formula 1. I don't think he is. I think the best driver in Formula 1 is Fernando Alonso. And you have to say there's some truth to that remark, basically because of the fact that Alonso is not in the best car and he's still getting the podium finishes, he's still getting the victories, and he's still getting the big points. But Webber with a great passing move with about 5 or 6 laps to go, and you could tell that Webber was going to do quite well this weekend. 500ths of a second between him and Alonso in qualifying, with Alonso getting pole position. Yet again Ferrari brought in Alonso and gave him a lot to do with the tyres. They put him on the softer compound tyre for the final stint, and Webber was on the harder compound tyre, so advantage Webber at that stage. Alonso needed to pull out a gap. He did to a certain degree, but Webber's harder tyres lasted longer, gave him the ability to pass Fernando on the outside, and just a magnificent move that got him the race win. Webber is a big fan of Silverstone. He's won twice here in the last 3 years, and he's always going to be a favourite to win. So he's won 2 of the big races this year. He's won Monaco and Britain, and the way things are going, Webber could be favourite for the championship, even though Fernando is still at the top of the table, which I will give you in a few moments' time. So basically that's it for the race recap. And so I'll go over the race results, the top 10, as I always do. It's pointless going through everybody else because everybody else doesn't score points. So first off, Mark Webber wins. Great pass, as I say, over Alonso. In second. Third is Sebastian Vettel. A good race. He didn't have a particularly good qualifying, so fairly decent race. He had a quiet afternoon yesterday, did Vettel, and he will be happy with that. Felipe Massa with a fairly decent 4th place. If you look at the people ahead of him, specifically the Red Bulls and his teammate. You know, that's they're the only three that beat him. So pretty good race result at Ferrari for Massa. And you have to say it's not one of his favourite tracks, so he did rather well. Kimi Raikkonen in 5th in the Lotus, his teammate Romain Grosjean 6th, which was a fairly decent result considering his first lap shenanigans. Michael Schumacher with another finish, his 3rd of the season, and or his 4th, his 3rd of the season in 7th. Lewis Hamilton 8th in the McLaren. Not a good day for McLaren yet again. Like I say, they've got to do something about that car and its management of the tyres. It seems quick enough because Lewis is always up there, but it's just not working the tyres as it should do. Bruno Senna in 9th for Williams, and another single point for Jenson Button in the 2nd McLaren. On to the Drivers' Championship standings. And we have Fernando Alonso 1st with 129, Mark Webber 2nd with 116, Vettel 3rd with 100, Lewis Hamilton now 4th on 92, Raikkonen 5th on 83, Rosberg 6th on 75, Grosjean in the other Lotus 7th on 61, Jenson Button now on 50 points in 8th, Sergio Perez another non-score at 39, and another non-score for Pastor Maldonado with 29, and he's in 10th place. On to the constructors' standings, and Red Bull, as you'd expect with a double podium finish, are streaking ahead. They scored 40 points yesterday. They've got 216. Ferrari have moved up to 2nd place in the standings with a 2nd and a 4th yesterday. They got 30 points. They're on 152. Lotus moved down to 3rd. They've got 144. McLaren only scored 5 points yesterday. They're in 4th. They're basically where they are with 142. Mercedes are 5th. With 98. Sauber didn't score yesterday. They're still in 6th on 60 points. Williams with 2 points yesterday. 47. Force India on 44. And Toro Rosso in 9th on 6, where they have been since Malaysia, with the other 3 teams yet to score. So basically that's it for this edition of F1 Talk. A lot of criticism over Pastor Maldonado's driving, quite rightly so. You have to take into consideration he must be getting frustrated. You know, the frustration must be building up, and things just aren't going his way. Jenson Button needs a decent result. Not a brilliant result, but he needs a decent result just to get his confidence back. The McLarens need to work on their tyre management. I will say that, no doubt about it. And, you know, more of the same from Red Bull. Ferrari need a little bit more speed, I think, and better tyre strategy. If Ross Brawn was still there, Alonso would have won that race yesterday, and he probably would have won a few more. So it's all to do with strategy as far as Ferrari are concerned. They need better strategy, and Red Bull just need more of the same, because I now believe Red Bull have the best car. Can they propel Mark Webber to a championship win? So I thank you for watching, as you do each and every time, and I'll see you next time for more F1 Talk.